Hi, I wonder how you locate yourself under God and who He is and His character. I wonder if you have a rigid approach to God, a non-yielding approach, a non-repentant, a non-submissive approach to God, or do you have and locate yourself under God in a way where you surrender and submit to His hand in your life? And so today we're looking at Psalm 139. Psalm 139 is a psalm that we love. We enjoy the beauty of the flow of God's sovereign knowledge and care in our lives. For some of us, being under the microscope, or when we read it, the thought of being under the microscope of God in such a way may cause fear for some of us, and for some of us, I think it's comforting to know that God knows our hearts and knows all about us, and that we can't hide from Him. But as we get to the end of the psalm, it has an interesting turn in the last section, and it really moves us to locate us, to help us redirect our hearts to a place of surrender. And so there's heat in the passage, there's trouble in the passage. It's almost like David is saying, hey, you know what's going on. You know all about my life. I can't hide from you. Please help. And so he asks for help with specific situation where the wicked are antagonizing him, and he wants to say, I'm with you, God, and those who hate you, I'm with you in that. And so, but then it turns to a more personal approach. And so Psalms 139, 1 through 6 is just this idea that you know me, right? We've some of us have memorized this. You've probably read it before, but you've searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. And it's just a beautiful reminder that God knows us. He knows what we're going through. He knows where we're headed and what we're doing. He knows what we're thinking. He knows what we're going to say before we say it. That's tough. We think we can fool Him. That's interesting. And so that's the first section, 1 through 6. The second section is 7 through 12, and basically it's you're everywhere. God, you there's no hiding from you. There's no place that you are not. And he says the first couple of verses, and starting in 7, where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go to the heavens, you are there. If I make my beds in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even you are with me. And so he's basically saying high, low, left, right, north, south, east, west, wherever we go, God is there. And that can bring us comfort too. That not only is it not surprised by what we're going through, what we're about to approach in life, but He has this full handle on every place at all time. So that's the second part. Verses 13 through 18 really get personal. It's that famous passage, you created me in my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. This is the you made me section. Again, not only does He know the ins and outs of the day-to-day, not only does He know all about us wherever we're at, but He is involved in our creation from cradle to grave, from the mother's womb to the full number of the days of our lives. And so there's just an overwhelming sense that God knows everything all the time, everywhere. So we get to this place in verse 19 where he says, step in, please. He says, if only you, God, would slay the wicked. You know, I think it's an important thing to think about when heat comes into our life. And so David has the heat of wicked attacks. He says, I'm away from me, you are bloodthirsty. They speak of you with evil intent. Your adversaries misuse your name. We have to remember that trouble comes to us internally and externally. And so trouble comes at us from other directions, from outside of us. And so the situations of life, the circumstances of life, the heat comes to us. But it comes from within too. It comes from our own choices, our own rebellion, our own sinfulness. And so David says, step in, please. And then we get to this final part in 139, which moves us to take all of the psalm in, his trouble, God's sovereign understanding of our lives, and his creative care and knowledge of our whole lives, that nothing surprises him. And it moves us to this place at the end of the psalm to surrender. And so I ask that question again. What is your stance with God? How do you locate yourself with God and his knowledge and care and work in your life when you're in trouble? Is it a place of surrender, or is it a place of rebellion? Is it a place of rigidness, or is it a place of pliability? Is it a place of hiding and trying to keep that which he already knows from him? Or is it a place of I'm yours, Lord, look at me, look in me, know me, I need your help? And so David ends this way. Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. And so when the heat comes, the trouble comes, and here in this passage it's the external heat, but when it comes, and David acknowledges who God is and his care in his life, there's a place where he surrenders to God's searching. David wants to walk through the trouble, and his plea for stepping in, for help me now, Lord, the wicked are attacking. He wants to locate himself under God in a submissive way that surrenders to the searching of God. It's interesting, is God already knows. That's David reviews that in the Psalm. God already knows everything. God knows where David is, that there's no place to hide from him. God knows his whole entire life, but still David surrenders. David says, search me and know me. And so I think the psalm helps locate us in our lives and in our troubles to find a place of surrender and submission and pliability and obedience and a certain willingness to be under his hand, to yield to him. And so today, as you move through your life, I hope, as you think about Psalm 139, that you pray that prayer, search me, O God, and see if there's any offensive way in me, and lead me in your ways, the way everlasting. So surrender, that's a good place to be. God be with you. We'll talk again. We'll see you.